So I just had to shut the other door to cancel out the noise at 12 o'clock in the fucking morning. If that door gets open again, then it's on purpose. Like, I can still hear all that noise, but it's like not as loud. Yeah, I'm trying to go to sleep and I can't because people have their everything blasting at the loudest fucking decibel. It's ridiculous. And I can't function. It's like living with children. It's like living with college kids. It's fucking silly. Yeah, I wish I could just sleep in a vehicle outside. That'd be nice. No, I'm not okay. I can't, every way I turn is another issue caused by somebody else. Yeah, I know. I want to talk. I've already talked about it. There's nothing much else to say. I got people calling me lazy behind my back, but they're fucking keeping, everything as loud as it goes, so I can't sleep. Like, what the fuck, dude? I can't sleep. It's 12 o'clock, 12:30 at night. Like right now, I don't hear it. I don't hear all the noise. But it's because I shut the second door over there. And there's no reason for it to be open. Like, there's cat litter boxes in there, but there's also cat litter boxes in the rest of the house. So if they want to use an excuse, oh, the cats need to access the room to use the litter box. No, there's litter boxes everywhere else. So just having that second door open is literally just to make a problem. Morning for someone. I don't know. But I'm basically live just in case there's retaliation, just in case somebody rushes in here and they're like, oh, you shut the door. You're not allowed to shut that door. Like, I'm just waiting for that reaction. And if that happens, then it's like, it's purposely meant to disrupt, to be a noise disturbance. That's, so we'll see. Just waiting about maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I'll probably end the stream. But it's literally just in case anything happens, I'm going to end up documenting it. It's just a document video just to keep up on what's actually happening. It's like every night I gotta sleep through noise coming from 2 rooms away. There's like fucking 10 litter boxes in this house. There's plenty of them to go around. But that's the only excuse that they could use to keep that door open and to blast sound into my room while I'm trying to sleep. And that's what I'm saying. They haven't said anything about it, but if in fact that door gets opened again, that's the only reason why. It's to be a noise disturbance, because there's plenty of litter boxes to go around. So every day I got to deal with something. There's a mop bucket in the tub. Oh, you're so dirty. You live in filth. Like, bro, I can't keep up on cleaning that tub. If you're gonna dump mop water in there, and then I was told, oh, it's not a big deal if it's just mop bucket water because there's bleach in it. Like, all she cares about is the drain getting clogged. She doesn't care about my feet getting fucking, me having to step in bleach. Yeah, the second door is still closed, so hopefully it stays closed and I can actually sleep. I already have problems sleeping. I fucking caught up on so much sleep today. It's ridiculous, and I wasn't able to actually get anything accomplished. It's gonna be okay. If I can get out of here, I can just put this all behind me. I don't have to talk about the fucking bullshit again. That's what I really dream of. Dream of being out of here and never coming back. Never talking to my family again. That's what I want. And it's sad that it has to be that way, because I used to want to speak good of my family because that's my blood. But it's like imagine where you would feel more comfortable to sleep inside of a vehicle in a fucking parking lot than at your own mom's house. That's the situation I'm in. I would feel more comfortable sleeping in a parking lot in a fucking car. Well, that's the thing, is that the only reason why they would open the door right now is to be a noise disturbance. And it's hypocrisy, because they go around behind my back talking shit about me, telling everybody that I'm lazy, that I don't do anything to help. But in reality, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to function, and people are getting in my way constantly. So it's not that big a deal if that door stays shut. They're doing it because maybe they're like college kid mentality. They're like, yay, it's Friday, time to make a bunch of noise. Maybe. I can't tell for sure. I don't know if it's, I don't know what else they might do. Is there drugs keeping them up or something? I don't know what it is. I don't see any actual signs of drugs being used, but this is like drug induced behavior. You see crackheads up till 4 o'clock in the morning. No offense to anybody who, has that kind of a problem, but that's what I witnessed when I had to sleep in a house full of fucking crackheads. I'm trying to keep a regular job, and they don't even have to have a regular job. They just, they work for 2 hours in a day and they get $200. That's what you get from crackheads. It's almost every day. It's like maybe 2 days out of the week, I could say, on average, that I'm not dealing with massive amounts of noise bursting through my door while I'm trying to sleep. And then on top of that, people walking into the room while I'm trying to, it's like I wake up to somebody just walking into the room. It's a seriously bad situation. But this isn't the only problem that I'm dealing with, If I could just get out of here, then that'd be nice. Right now, I'm trying to find out if I can pull $1 from Sunflower Land and bring it over to the Solana network and play a bet again. If you guys want to check me out, I'm on Pump Fun as well, at Godfinger. And yeah, I just got another holder in it, another strong holder. So that's cool. At least you are working, so they should take that. No, they don't take that into account. Bro, no. I don't care what they think about me. I don't care what anybody thinks about me, unless it's something that's false. And that's basically what I'm trying to prove here, is that, look, people have talked shit about me. People have just imagined things about me because they want to. My Cash App username, I don't use Cash App. I don't even think I can get into the account anymore. But my my Venmo, like I have PayPal. What is my PayPal? Um, where's my PayPal at? Like that's more reliable than anything else. That's what I rely on is my PayPal. So my PayPal is at Clout Ninja, CloutNinja. I joined PayPal in 2022. Oh. Yeah, I'm just trying to get the hell out of here, man. If I could get $5 grand, I'd have a car and I'd be fucking boom out the door. I'd be down the street, bro. I'd be living like in that thing. I'd be going to hotels, doing DoorDash constantly. I'd be making $4 grand in a month, dude. You know, like I was doing good when I had a vehicle. I'm doing everything that I can to get out of the situation. There's not much you can do on a regular on an e-bike, you know. Did you get along with them before the situation started? No, not very much. Like I came down here and involved myself with the side of the family because I was supposed to help fix a house so it can be sold. And I was told there's tools available, there's a plan to get it done. And when it came down to it, I had left, everything behind basically. Like my job up north, came down here. There was no actual plan. The tools had been sold off by actual meth heads. Like these aren't meth heads. They don't do, I don't think they do meth or anything, but it's like the same type of behavior that I was up against before, you know. It's like I work all day. I try to, if I'm not at work working, then I'm streaming or I'm researching or I'm really trying to make a difference in the world as well. Because I feel like if I can't become strong myself, at least I can, make things right, in the world. So, what is my other side of the family like? Well, they're really kind of like stuck up and actually like proper in a way. So, my dad's side of the family is like, they kind of actually have like big amounts of like I don't know how to describe it, but they're everybody's been an asshole to me specifically. It's because I got an ego. Like they think that they act like I have an ego, and it's like, oh, okay, I wear a bandana to keep the bugs out of my hair. I forget, you know what I mean? Why am I wearing a bandana at night to keep bugs out of my hair? I'm in Florida, bro. Do you still talk to your dad? No, I haven't talked to him in like probably 6 years since I got bit by a spider. I got bit by a spider. I was like dying in a bed, getting yelled at, being called lazy as all my muscles in my body just tore down to nothing. I had MRSA, and I was laying in a bed stuck. I'm crawling to the bathroom. Like I've been under fire, dude. My whole life has just been hell, dude. But that's why I think my life seems to be getting better the more that I speak out against atrocities or try to understand things and spread truth, facts. So, but you know, yeah, if I could get out of this situation, man, I'd be able to get a lot done. I ended up getting a lot done. When I was in a good, well, actually, not even a good situation. I was still dealing with people keeping me up till 4 o'clock in the morning. I was working 12, 14 hours a day. Last time that I had a vehicle, I was working 9 to 16 hours every night. Try to talk to your mom, see what you do. She's the fucking problem. You mean try to talk? She's the fucking problem. She's the one that has all of this shit blaring in the other room. I can't sleep. I asked her, the reason why I'm even here is because I asked her, instead of sleeping in parking lots, can I sleep here and get a shower? Finally, and all I wanted to do was sleep out in my vehicle. So here I am working night shift every night. And it was like a 7 day, I'm working 7 days a week. And instead of sleeping in a parking lot, I wanted to sleep in her driveway. And there was plenty of room. There's plenty of room out here. And what she would do is I'm sleeping during the day to work at night. And she's waking me up during the day. She's fucking shaking me up and like opening my door and shit. Like she has harassed the hell out of me. She's the problem. That's what I'm up against. That's the shitty part, is that it's my own fucking mother that's in my way. Do you see any similarities whatsoever between you and your father? Oh yeah, my dad taught me. He taught me good ethics. He taught me, not to even swear, but I ended up swearing. One day, people convinced me to start swearing. um, Besides that, though, my dad was never like fully uh, like he wouldn't break into, hey, good job, son. He really never used to tell me that. He told me that as a child, but when I grew up, he was like never impressed by anything that I did. So once I grew to a certain age, I think it was like 14, that's when he busted my fucking nose, and then um, stopped showing me any sort of pride. Do you have any friends you can stay at? No, I'm a loner. That's the shitty part. I've been a loner pretty much my whole life. I don't trust people. you know but I'm so exposed, I'm so already fucked, that like I go ahead and I expose my life, because it's like I'd rather people know the actual truth than to hear a lie from somebody else. So I don't hold shame in my life. Unlike a lot of people, they feel like, that's a big problem in their lives. They feel shame for what they've done. I found God like 5 years ago. I decided, I'm like, God is the answer. And that's what I've basically been chasing, is truth, because God is truth. You can't beat truth. This channel was supposed to be a discussion type of channel, where I could have people kind of explain their personality, like their not personality, their personal beliefs, and we can like have a discussion on how to find that middle ground and get everybody on the same page. Well, what I found on my own journey was that following the 10 Commandments, if we all follow the 10 Commandments, we're all on the same page. It's easy. Christianity solves like almost all of our problems. How long do you plan on staying it before things get unbearable? It's already unbearable and I'm stuck here. I cannot get out of this situation. I'm in, absolutely. But it's been 15 minutes. The door hasn't been opened, so that's kind of a good thing. Yeah. Yeah, my PayPal is Clout Ninja. If anybody, helps me out, basically, I'm fully transparent on where that goes. And yeah, I'm very transparent about everything that I do. Um, I plan on getting up early, hopefully like 5:30, get ready, go to work at like 6:30. That's usually what I want to do. And then because I got like 20-mile range on this bike, I can only get so much done. So I go and I complete a few orders in the morning, go to sleep and like rest, not really sleep, just like rest for a couple hours, few 5 hours even, wake back up, go back out to work. You know, it's like a round the clock type of thing. I wish I could work right now, but the drive-throughs, they don't allow bicyclists. So if you have a bike and you try to go through the drive-through in McDonald's, many of these McDonald's will actually reject you. They'll be like, "Oh, no, sorry, we can't hand you the package. You're at the window. The fucking package is right behind them." And they're like, "Sorry, I can't hand that to you." I'm like, "Dude, really?" And the reason why is because insurance, I guess. If I get hit, then it's their fault. I'm like, "What?" It's insane. So I used to go and do orders at night. That was my favorite time to work, because it was like there was no cars on the road. Even when I was in my vehicle, I was like, bro, that's the best time to be working, when you're doing DoorDash and deliveries. Um, Also, I was dealing with an overheating vehicle, so. But yeah, maybe I can actually sleep now. It's been 15 minutes. I think it's safe. I'm just waiting for like a retaliation or something. How often do you eat dinner or in general? Barely. I don't even think I ate today. Yeah, I didn't eat anything all day. I'm going to sleep hungry. So that's just how it is. Um, I ate something not, Friday night, but the night before that, Thursday night, I ate. I barely eat. I'm like 140 pounds, dude. I'm underweight and starving. That's my situation. And cigarettes are the most costly thing that is, but if I didn't smoke cigarettes, then I'd lose my mind. No, I don't get to eat. I also don't take government benefits. So like I don't get food stamps, I don't get disability, I don't get anything besides just what I earn on the bike. I got paid tip money yesterday, a $10 bill. I borrowed $10 for the first time in like fucking like a year. I borrowed some money from my mother, like, first time in like a year. I was like, hey, I need $10. And, because my phone had got hacked into and I wasn't able to work for like 4 days. And so I gave her that 10 back. So, oh, she already called the cops. She called the fucking cops when I was doing yard work for her. I was waiting for my battery to charge. I had already worked in that morning, and I was working outside. I was blowing leaves around, and she comes out and she's starting to scream at me, and I'm like, "What are you screaming about? What's wrong?" Yeah, and I have to act fully fucking stupid about it because like I'm trying to, base level like what are you really yelling about right now? And, I'm like, just leave me alone. Like, you said you wanted this done, and now you say you don't want this done, and then you want it done, and then you don't want it done. Just please leave me alone. And then she calls the cops on me, says that I'm some kind of a threat to her. And the fucking cop comes, and I'm like, dude, I got it on video. She was throwing my shit around. Cop didn't even ask to see the video, didn't care. They treat it like a civil matter. It's okay for women to be violent. It's not okay for a male to even defend themselves. It's sad. It's a sad state of affairs we're in. But yeah, she has called the cops on me like that. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And so, yeah, she's already fucking called the cops on me. It's stupid. Stupid. And, the cops the whole time, he's like, oh, we're just here trying to keep the peace. I'm like, bro, you want to keep the peace? Tell her to please stop causing issues. Stop throwing nukes at me. you know? And that's what I'm dealing with is somebody who thinks that like abusing somebody is okay. I think she gave you the $10 because she knew she was in the wrong. I know it's been a couple of years now. I think prison would be better because you don't have to work and they feed you and you can get sleep. I know that's literally what I've felt in the past a few times. I'm like, bro, like if things get that bad, fuck it, I'll go to I'll go to prison. Like at least I'll get a food, get a straight meal. That's and after having that thought, which I would never do, I wouldn't want to go to prison. Um, After having that thought, it made me realize I was like, that's why there's so many criminals out there, so many people fucking around. Because it's like, what do they have to lose? At least they get fed. No wonder there's so many people fucking around, man. They don't care if they go to prison because at least they get fed. It's either they get rich by doing something nasty, or they go to prison for it and they still get fed. It's like that's why the world is the way it is right now. There's no coming up. If you don't know how to scam the system, then you don't get help. Like for instance, right now I'm sitting up in my bed, but I really shouldn't be. My back, I got hit by a car twice, and I have a herniated disc in my back, so I'm not even able to like stand doing. I have no idea how old she is. I can't even stand for an hour and a half without collapsing basically. So I can't even have like a regular job. I got hit by a car twice. Now, when I called the disability office, they said, "Oh, you need to be getting treated in order to actually qualify for disability." I'm like, Wait, so in order to get treatment, I need to already be getting treatment. How does that make any sense? No, I don't have a therapist. I don't have anything, dude. I just have myself, my own brain. How does that make any sense though? Like if you're not getting treated for an injury, then you don't qualify to get treated for an injury. The system's broken. The system's totally broken. I got hit by a fucking car twice. The fact that I even work still is just it's a miracle. That's why I don't stand. That's why I'm not party affiliated. Like liberals, they are only helping their special interest groups. Conservatives, they're helping nobody at all. It sucks. I don't stand with either party. The reason why I'm a Trump supporter is because he made things non-political. He's trying to get the government out of the way. That's why he's doing what he's doing. He was a non-political type of person. The reason why he stands with the conservatives is because the conservatives are supposed to stand for deregulation. You know, I support conservative commentators. I support those who follow Christianity. Seems like she is mentally unstable, but I don't want to talk bad about it. She absolutely is, and it's sad. And I think she does need help. But here's the thing too, is that I can't do anything. If she goes down, then I don't have a place to live. That's basically been the situation since I got down here. If I ever spoke out about these atrocities, about these abuses to anybody official, then I wouldn't have a place to live. You know? If you want me and you could always talk, I'm always subscribed, I'll get notifications that you're on live. I got plenty of people who jump in, and yeah, if you'd like to have a conversation, that's great. But if you ever want to actually, truly support projects that I'm building, Pump Fun is like a whole place of scams and everything, but I'm actually trying to build something. And you can find all the details in my Pump Fun on Banking Mastery. Go check that token out. It's at Godfinger. That's my account. If you're into the crypto space, go ahead and check that out. What I'm looking for over there is a $1 support. If I get a bunch of $1 supports, then it looks good, and then I can continue promoting the token, and I can finish this game. I've already previewed the game on my YouTube. I'm not previewing it for Pump Fun because Pump Fun, all they're going to do is take my idea and steal it. But I have previewed the game on here. I hand coded it. It's my third attempt, and actually there's a second version already pumped out there. You go to vercel.com/volatile legacy and you'll find the game. So the game's already been built once. I am working on a revised version, and if I can ever get into a better position and focus just on that, I can finish it within a month. I just need to get a ChatGPT subscription and then work with ChatGPT and then go and hand code it like I was before. My ChatGPT subscription ran out, and I basically just took a break from building it. What is my goal? Well, just to get out of the situation. I want to be out of this house and in a vehicle and making $4,000 a fucking month. Whether or not I'd be staying at a hotel, I can afford it at that point. If I had a running vehicle, something that isn't overheating, something that's reliable, the front end, back end isn't about to explode, the fucking transmission ain't about to fall apart, that's where I'm at. If I could divvy up, get $5,000, I don't know what divvy up means, just something like that. If I can get $5,000, $10,000, bro, I'd be on my feet, out of the situation, and living a life. I think that there is a shadow government controlling things, so politicians are working for them. Yeah, all I got is a bike now. Like, I got a valid ID, valid license. It's clean. I do DoorDash on the bike. Like I said, I can't stand for like more than an hour and a half without my back just collapsing. Sitting in a chair is it's not as good. Now, I've tried to sign up for like remote working, doing like telemarketing or whatever, telejobs, and it's like you need to be certified or have had that job already to qualify for anything that deals with telemarketing or remote work. So I've been just stuck. Yeah, all I got is the bike. And it's only 20 miles range at the max. What did I just tell you? You'll get a job in the oil fields. How am I supposed to do that when I can't even lift fucking 50 pounds anymore? Because I got hit by a car twice. You see these people, they don't even pay attention. They just want to, oh, you're not working 8 hours a day? Well, you're lazy. Bro, do you even understand? Have you ever been hit by a vehicle? Do you have a depressed disc, a fucking herniated disc in your back? Do you have a knee that if you walk the wrong way, it twists and you can't walk anymore for a whole fucking day? Do you have anything like that? You go work in the oil fields. I can't. It's insane how fucking like blind people are. It's insane. I can't do that. It don't matter how old I am. You know, it feels like every piece of information I give, people do stuff like that, get a job in the oil fields. Are you kidding me? You know, I know how to do so many things. I can't. Not with that attitude. What is that even? Dude, I'm just taking you off my fucking account. This is a troll. Get out of here. Zerolt, whatever the hell you are. Remember when you said that your father never complimented you? Does that ever upset you? No, not really. It, like, the thing that upset me was all of the attention that all my friends around me got. It was like they were more important than me at all times. You know, I was like, hey, I don't want my friends over. He would be like, I don't care. They're coming over anyways. That's the kind of shit that I was up against when I was growing up. You know, so I was just harassed and treated like a fucking black sheep when all I didn't even swear. I did so many things properly, and I was just treated like just a terrible person. You know, talked about behind my back. There's just so many things. My dad didn't talk about me behind my back. That was cool. You know, that's where my dad didn't fuck me. He didn't talk about me behind my back. He was legitimate, like in that sense. So there's credit to be given. I want to get out of this situation, look back, and give credit where credit is due. Good credit. There's a lot of negative things to say right now, but it's because I'm stuck. You know, there's good things that people have done. There's people that have been in solidarity on one level, but fucked me in another. You know, right now, all I have to say is how much people fucked me. If I can get into a good position, I'll give credit where credit's due. The longer it takes for me to get out of this situation, the less good things that I have to say about people because I'm going to forget those good things. That's what my enemies don't understand. If you're going to be my enemy, you know, the more that you keep me down, you keep getting in my fucking way, the less good things I have to say about you. You know, I want to say good things about people. Like I said, you know, my mother, she, you know, for the first time in about a year, lent me money. It's $10. The last time that I borrowed money, I think it was like $5 before that. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm not getting money from anybody. I don't have a lifeline, dude. Sucks, man. I see so much money wasted on stupid shit. Okay, I see. I guess when they said that you were lazy, it's because you did not fit with their perception of reality, right? Do I have a game plan to how to change my situation? No, not really at this point. I'm just praying to God. I'm praying that I get lucky in some way and it ends me up in a vehicle and then I am out of here. And then I can look back and say the good things that happened, but I don't even think I'm going to be able to get to that point. My game plan is if I get into a vehicle, I leave this place and I go and I work 16 hours a fucking day, go stay at hotels and thrive. I've been 2 years without a vehicle. I'm stuck. There's no game plan. I can't really do very much with 15 miles of range. Like, I have 15 meaningful miles of range every 7 hours. So after I use up 15 miles of range, that's enough for maybe 2 deliveries. That's maybe I can make $15. All right. Then I have to wait 7 hours to go charge that fucking battery, and then I can go back out to work and make another $15. So in reality, I can make a maximum every day of $30. That's max. No, I'm not working in an oil field. I can't stand up for long periods of time. When I'm on my bike, I'm sitting on a seat. So that's why I can get away with doing that. But if I have to wait an hour and a half to get an order, I'm gonna collapse. And that's exactly what keeps happening. I'm sitting there for a fucking hour waiting for an order because people can't afford DoorDash anymore. Uber is even worse. Uber, I've waited 3 hours, dude. Still nothing. Still nothing. I remember when I put the bike setting on, I have to put it on the vehicle setting in order to do it on the bike, because putting it on a bike setting, I barely get any orders. It's like it takes hours and hours and hours to get an order. So I put it on the vehicle setting, and then I go as fast as a vehicle. I'm going 45 miles per hour on this thing. I'm risking my life to go and make $15. You don't think I would want to go work at a regular job? I'm risking my life to go and make $15. I'm stuck. The original plan was for you to help renovate the house. I guess they forgot about that. Well, that house is, it's been a long time. Yeah, they ended up paying my little brothers for coming over, and when they came over, all the tools magically appeared. They spent hundreds of dollars and thousands of dollars on the tools when my little brothers came. But here I am. I left everything behind, and I came down here to help, and I got paid nothing. I got screwed, and the other people that they want to see succeed got paid thousands of dollars. Insanity. I got anxiety. I gotta smoke cigarettes. It sucks. I don't even drink. I quit drinking 7 years ago. I don't do drugs. I smoke weed. That's about it. I don't even get to really smoke weed. I hit a vape once a day. So I'm on limited resources, limited possibilities. If I could, I would get a regular job, 8 hours a day, standing somewhere, walking around somewhere, moving packages or whatever. But I can't even pick up, like, I pick up a 30-pound battery. It fucks my back up, dude. I can't do that. I can't even do that reliably, let alone a 50-pound package. Because most of these jobs, you need to be able to pick up 50 pounds. I can't even pick up 50 pounds anymore. I'm 140 pounds. Picking up more than a third of my weight. It doesn't work. So maybe it was a setup to get you down there in the first place, because you said the tools were not even there until your brothers showed up. That's exactly how I feel about the situation, is that it was a setup. And I should have never trusted any of these people. Like, none of them stood up for me when it was the time to stand up for me. And at the same time, I tried to prevent atrocities from happening to them. So when I was staying at my cousin's house, I'll give you an example. The fucking actual meth heads that were staying at the house that shouldn't have been there, they left a high voltage box open where there were kids playing. I told the parents about it, and they looked at me like I was the one that did it. That's how nasty these people have been to me. I tried to save people's lives and they fucking looked at me like I was a monster. And they got paid. They got free money. They even got a car. There was a fucking car here before. They got a free fucking car that ran. And then I was told after getting hit by a vehicle twice, oh, you can get we'll help you with a car if you get a full-time job. Are you fucking retarded? I can't do that. How's my relationship with your brothers compared to your father? I don't have a relationship with them. Both of them threatened my life. One of them attacked me from behind and is the reason why my knees fucked up to begin with. Getting hit by a car just finished it off. You know, he came up behind me and slammed me down to the ground. My fucking knee hit the threshold of a door. It exploded my fucking knee open. Like it was like I couldn't even walk for months. You know, I'm going to work, I'm working 2 or 3 hours, and I'm like, oh, I can't even walk anymore. And my boss was completely reliant on me. I was doing the mechanical work there, moving plants around, taking care of them. I was, you know, rebuilding things, doing the roof work there. They couldn't even rely on me for that anymore because of my little brother. But my little brother got thousands of dollars handed to him. Yeah, it feels like an absolute setup. And that's why I've documented this shit, is because I'm sick of the narrative being played against me. You know, there's texts in my text history. There's texts of them threatening my life. My little brothers are not my dad's. My father, they're not on my father's side. My dad didn't make those kids. My mother had kids with another person, and she looks at me like I'm the enemy. She's using me as an example to say that my dad was the wrong choice. My dad doesn't know how to raise kids. You know what I mean? That's what she's doing. At least that's what it looks like to me. So whatever the case, I'm not trying to feel bad. I'm not trying to make people feel sorry for me or anything. I'm just documenting it and the fact that there was a bunch of noise. I was just doing this as a protective measure. Otherwise, I'd have the light on and I'd be talking to the camera, talking about other stuff. What if you stayed with your cousin? How did the meth? Oh wait, when did you stay? Okay, managed to use her house as a place to live. So they were staying out in the yard, in the woods. She didn't even know about it, and then she felt bad. She let them stay on the couch, and they ended up actually staying in the house like almost permanently, basically. And there was like 9 people living in that house, so they barely paid attention to them. Now I couldn't even get into the details, but a lot of weird shit happened that I wanted to report, but I didn't want to break up a home. Okay, a lot of weird shit happened. There was like nine, no, there's like 9 kids. There was like probably 5 or 6 or 7 adults. So they were around kids. One of them handed me a meth pipe. And I was like, oh, no, there was a fucking kid standing right next to me. That's the kind of shit that I was up against, man. You know, I went to go sleep on the couch because I was freezing cold. I was sleeping in my car at a time. The meth head stayed in the house. I was sleeping in my car. I go and sleep on the couch, and then I'm told, you're not allowed to come in this house anymore. I'm like, what? Because I was freezing cold? And I went to go sleep on the couch? But these meth heads can sleep on the couch just fine. And the reason why I know that they're meth heads is because everybody knew. They were very open about it. You know, it wasn't a secret. So that they were confirmed, verified meth heads. This wasn't just maybe, maybe not. No, they were meth heads. And they tried to get me to do it too. And I'm like, no. That incident with the electricity box was weird. Yeah, it was. So like what they had claimed was they were trying to get into like the cable or something and fix the connection for the cable and basically bypass They were trying to get the actual owner of the house's social security number. It was a really weird situation. They were on the phone for hours with the phone company trying to get, connected. And at the same time, they used that as an excuse as we need his social security number because we can't get the internet on. So they were trying to get the dude that actually owned the house's social security, hours and hours, well, days, well, not just days, probably weeks. Um, so, but like, they were, like my cousin's kids and my cousin and the people there were harmed by these people, and they looked at me as an enemy as I'm trying to tell them what to look out for. One of the kids came down and she had her no fucking shirt on. She was like 7 or something, and one of the other people said, "Hey, put a shirt on. What are you doing?" And she's like, "Okay, fine." And then she came back down with a shirt, and then they asked her like, "Who said you could do that?" One of the meth heads, like, his name's Jackie. Uh, Jackie said that I can walk around with no shirt on. It ain't even her fucking parent. That's the kind of weird shit that was going on, man. I remember I came home from work when I was eating lunch at that house, and I caught them. I caught one of the girls, one of the older girls. She was like 16 or something. She put pajama pants on them like shirts, and I walked in on it. And I was like, "Whoa, why are you dressing them up like that?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm just preparing them, getting them ready to see Jackie. He's coming to visit." She dressed them up in basically like tube top kind of tops to meet and greet the meth head that's coming over that day with nobody else in the house. A lot of strange shit happened. I caught one of them. I caught the two of them in a room with a 14-year-old, I think, and she was sucking on a lollipop. I came in the middle of the night inside to use the bathroom, and I went by that room to get to the bathroom, and I heard them say something because they didn't know I was in there yet. They were making sexual innuendos towards the 14-year-old. These were 30-something-year-olds. They were making sexual innuendos to the 14-year-old. "Oh, you're sucking that pop really good," like something like that. And then, when I made a sound, when I closed the door to the bathroom, they shut their door and basically locked themselves in the room with the 14-year-old. Fucking sick shit, man. Sick shit. And I tried to tell my cousin about it, and she looked at me like the enemy. I would never touch a kid like that. I would never touch kids, I would never say that kind of shit to them. When I see a young person in real life, I'm like, "Oh my God, I don't want to step on them," type of shit. I walk away from them, you know what I mean? Like, I'm scared of little kids, you know? It makes me wonder if they still staying at your cousin's house. They're apparently not. Apparently, she realized a few things, that they were terrible people, that one of them ended up possibly killing the other. So there was two dudes. They were gay meth heads. Gay, right? Who knows if they're actually gay? Um, and you had Howard and Jackie, and Howard died. He died from an overdose. What do you think that was about? Maybe Jackie hiding the evidence? You say that your stepbrothers never got along with you. How come you never reported when he attacked you from behind? Because I wasn't trying to put him in jail. I felt like, it's between me and God. The first time I get attacked, the first time that I deal with a problem, I use it as that's my fault. I treat things differently. The first time somebody fucks me over, the first time somebody hurts me, I look at it as my fault. The second time, that's their fault. And that's where we're at right now, where basically they threaten my life. That's their fault. That's why I speak out about it. I don't give them a third chance. I don't give people a third chance. It's the second time is you fucked up. I didn't want to put somebody in jail. My mother, during that situation, he did it in front of my mother, in front of our mother. The reason why he got up, the supposed reason why he even did that, was because I said while we were all drunk, shut the fuck up because I was trying to say something. So it was words. Talk about people who don't believe in free speech. All I said was shut the fuck up. And it was like a kind of an aggravated way, but also in a silly way. Like, come on, man, I'm trying to talk. And he got up and he's like, don't talk to our mother like that. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And then here I am trying to walk away from the situation. I'm like, look, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm going to go back in my car. I'm going to go do what the hell I'm doing. As I'm getting out of the door, a sliding door, he's already up behind me. I said, don't touch me. Get away from me. And I have my back turned to him and he slams me down. He's like 200 fucking pounds. He slams me down to the fucking ground. My knee slams down, smashes against the threshold of the door. It moved my kneecap. It probably separated the kneecap from the actual cartilage. And then ever since then, I got hit by a car twice from the left side. So the damage was done to my knee 2 more times. And now my knee is in bad condition. So the damage is complete. I can't run now. If shit hits the fan, I'm fucked. I'm not surviving. But these are the problems that I've had to deal with along the way, and I just want to get away from these people. And then I'll give good credit to where credit's, the credit that's actually due. I'll do that because I believe in God and I believe in forgiveness. And as long as I can get the fuck away from these people, then I'll forgive them. But until then, it's an attack. It's a regular attack. Nobody knocks on this door before they come in. Nobody gives me a notice, hey, there's going to be like 10 hours of laundry that are going to be done, so now you can't sleep. There's never nothing in a proper way. Nothing is done properly. And it would be one thing if it changed, but it hasn't. Even after these problems have been addressed. I've brought these things up, and none of these problems have been fixed. Yeah, she is closer to them than me because she raised them. She didn't raise me. My dad raised me. She's using me as an example as to why my dad was a failed marriage. That's what she's doing. There's no other explanation for it. All I wanted was a place to fucking sleep in a parking lot and take a shower. That's all I wanted. Just to get off the street. Just to not have to go to a homeless shelter and have my shit stolen or anything. That's why I came here the second time. If I had just been left alone, I would have been on top of the world by now. But they're willing to give, assholes thousands of dollars and then tell me that I'm fucking lazy while everybody else is succeeding because they got funded, basically. I can pay money back. That's what I was proving is that, look, a week ago, I borrowed money and I paid it back. I proved it. Look, I can pay back what was given to me. That doesn't stand for anything. They don't care. They want to see me fail. That's the whole point. If I fail, then if I succeed and I'm still being stubborn, then it basically proves them wrong from everything that they've said behind my back. If I fail, then it just continues the cycle of, yeah, he's just a piece of shit. And you know what? That proves all my decisions were proper and correct by not helping him, by being an asshole to him, by harassing him. Yeah, see, he was going to fail anyways. That's what they want. They want an excuse to say that that my dad was total, garbage or whatever, and they want to say that. They're using me as the example. My dad is a great person. He always was. The only problem that I dealt with him is he never showed me that like he was proud of me in any way. He was never like, wow, you slept in a vehicle for 3 months in the snow while you held a job doing plowing snow work, and you were only getting a $70 a week wage while you were doing it. You survived doing that? No, that wasn't even good enough. Oh, their father? She fucking held that dude out of a window. She almost murdered him. Sandy, right? All right, I'm too awake to even go to sleep right now. It's not you guys' fault. It's just how it is. So I'm gonna drink some coffee. This is me. I don't know if you guys are new to the channel, but what you'll generally find on this channel is just kind of the news, informative stuff, exposing what's already been exposed or adding on to it. Lately, I've been talking about Pump Fun and how most of the space is like all scammers. And if you guys will look at my last video, you'll see how MEV vampire bots can literally pull and extract the value out of your token, even if it's just a dead chart. Insanity. Imagine that I was on live for 9 days, like in total about 50 hours, right, on Pump Fun. And like nobody wanted to buy into it. 0 people. There's rug pullers that throw $50 on a token and they insider trade. They tell everybody else, hey, this is the token. They go delete the X account after they pull the profit. $50 in, $1,000 out in 10 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes is the normal life cycle of a Pump Fun token. So that's the most recent thing that I've been talking about on my channel here. Besides that, earthquakes are making their rounds around the world. Prepare. Earthquakes happen suddenly. It's different than a hurricane. Imagine that even when people know about a hurricane ahead of time, they have a week to prepare. They're still not prepared enough. Prepare. I can't be prepared. I'm never going to be prepared enough, but I can help you guys get prepared by knowing how to do things. So one skill that you got to learn is how to make fire out of just wood. So here's a method. We got, let's just imagine this is a branch, like a thin branch, right? And you have like a pole, all right, a wooden pole, and you go back and forth like that. You go left and right, left and right. I'm actually like this here. So go like that and put a notch right in the middle, and that's the quickest, easiest way to make a fire with wood. So you grab a branch and you go pull it side to side, and then you dump out the coals just like you would with a normal wood rig to make fire. You can also use bark in the worst case scenario. Use like pine needles, make a pine needle tea, and cook bark, and you'll have like some kind of food. Worst case scenario. Fishing, you can make a fish hook out of wood. The reason why I say wood is because wood is everywhere. It's going to be hard to find metal in the form that you need it. You always have to like modify the metal to make it work for what you need. Learning how to work with leather. Start working with it now. Learn how to survive before you're thrust into that situation where you need to survive. That's important for everyone here, everyone in general. Learn how to survive before you have to survive. Because, first of all, when you're in a survival situation, you'll end up having to gather a lot of things. You don't want to spend that time when you're trying to gather things, instead, learning how to craft things, because that'll eat up time that you need to learn how to survive. So that's what we really need to be paying attention to, is learning how to survive off the land and prosper off the land. This technology stuff, I think by 2032, the Western world will throw away their phones. They will not be using cell phone technology in the future. That's what my channel's about, is spreading awareness. It's not really about this stuff that I'm dealing with in a home. This is just what's in my way. What I want to be doing is I want to get information out to people so that they can protect themselves and be prepared for what's to come. You got to be able to be ready. You got to be ready to be able to run out into the mountains and survive before you're thrust into that situation. And, you know, it's biblical on top of just common sense. Learn how to bend metal. I'll give you an example. So learning how to make metal, like things out of metal that are actually useful. This is a body cam, like a phone holder. So obviously you get a case and you got to put it in there so it fits perfectly. But learning how to do this stuff is important. This right here, get little things like this so that you can use these pieces of metal to build other things. You want to be able to make a bag. Show you my bag. I don't know if anybody here is like brand new to my channel, but I do leather crafts too. And just learning how to make your own stuff is incredibly important. So this is a bag that I made about a year ago, and it's very basic, but it holds everything that I need. You know, it's survival at this point, man. I got 3 of these bags. This bandana, I sewed the edges of it. I think that your knowledge of who runs the world is extremely limited, but power to you if you support them like you admitted you do. No. This is how the world works. I know exactly how it works. You got millionaires that are fucking lazy, that don't want to actually help society. They don't want to build businesses. They're failed billionaires. Then you have the billionaires who actually helped us develop the world that we have today. The reason why billionaires are so powerful is because they funded the businesses that you see today. The millionaires, they didn't fund the future. They stole the future. That's why they're angry. That's why they cause problems. They're the trolls in the chat. The millionaires are trolls in chats. Those aren't poor people. Those are rich people. When you see a troll, just imagine that they're rich, angry, and lonely. Who's running the world? Well, technically billionaires, because they're the ones that got in first, they got in early, and they didn't just hold their wealth, they prospered. Their wealth grew. They never pulled out. They instead traded it, like they loaned instead. They used those assets to create loans against. And that's how they grew their wealth. They're only taking like an $80,000 a year paycheck so that they can avoid taxes. I know exactly what's going on. You got a bunch of millionaires that are like special interests at this point, and they're trying to control the future. But at the end of the day, the billionaires are who controls the future, because they're the ones that are funding the future. The millionaires, There's way more of them than billionaires. They have the ability to change everything around us. They have the ability to. Instead, they just try to troll. They try to make it so that you can never come up and compete with them because they're fucking lazy. They're lazy. They don't want to have to compete with you. That's why they're not funding the future. But they're failed billionaires, and that's my insult to them. Billionaires didn't care who it was. They just wanted to be early. That's why Warren Buffett made so much damn money. These people are highly respectable. Trump, highly respectable. They built this nation that we have today. They built this world that we have today. They're the reason why these companies even exist. The companies that run our world. Jeff Bezos, he can't make sure that the tire is always stocked so that I'm not waiting 5 days to get a tube. He can't always make sure of that. It comes down to the salespeople. So the trickle down effect, like you have a lot of people that are in charge of the small tasks that don't want to actually fix anything. There's no actual oversight. But can you blame the billionaires for doing their job and not being able to do everything else? They put other people in charge. So it's not really the billionaires that are technically controlling us at a local level, but the billionaires did build everything. So it's at the same time they did kind of have control, but it's not really like direct control. They just funded it so that we can survive. Trump ripped down regulations so that we can build businesses. That's the type of people that we want in our world. Seems like everything these days. But that's the problem, is that it's the millionaires. The millionaires are bitching and moaning about the billionaires because they're failed billionaires. The millionaires are failed billionaires. They don't want to help, because if they help, or if they help the world produce and become better, then there's people that reach their level and now they have more competition. They'd rather just steal your money. Yeah, I know who's running the world. I know everything that's really going on because I've obsessively done the research. Yep. Imagine going live for 50 hours on Pump Fun over 9 days, and not one of these people out of, was it 8,500 people saw my call, because I called my own token out. 8,500 people saw it and not one of them bought into it. Not even $1. Right? Not the middle class. The middle class, they're kind of distracted with work. So the middle class isn't so responsible. The middle class, they could build businesses, but they're just too busy working, and they're kind of irresponsible with their money. But the millionaires are way more irresponsible with their money. So it's not the middle class. The middle class isn't the problem. I understand your opinion, though. I blame it on the millionaires. There's way more millionaires than there are billionaires. They can do a lot to change everything. They can fix things. They hand their money to crackheads because they think that the person that's literally begging as a job, their job is begging. They think that that person deserves a paycheck. So they're going to give it to the dude that's sitting out in the street, made it their job to sit out there with a sign and make $150 a day. The middle class doesn't want everything given to them without working. They actually go out and they work. But I understand where you're coming from. The middle class could do more, but in fact, what they need to do is find out who they should be supporting and actually look around. But they're too busy with their job. It's understandable. I don't want people to have hatred towards those who made it. They're like semi-successful, because we talk about the illegal aliens, dude. there's middle class illegal aliens that fucking people over. So and the reason why is because you got NGOs on the liberal side that are screaming out the loudest. They're getting most of the aid to give out to people, and they're pushing for an invasion. So people have conflated that with Israel. Yeah, they might have been working out of Israel, but there's also 10 to 20% of those NGOs that are Christian conservative that are not getting enough funding. So you got the people yelling and screaming at the top of their lungs, and they're the ones that are getting most of the funding to go and aid humanitarian missions. But you got the 10%, 20% that are Christian conservative that they don't get enough funding. It's because they're not yelling out loud enough. And they're on the side of everyone's lazy and, all the poor people are lazy. That's why they're poor. When in fact, bro, yeah, squeaky wheel gets the grease. That's a good point. When in fact, I'm out there, I'm going 45 miles per hour down the fucking road to go make $15. What I mean? Is that lazy? I can do it because I'm sitting down on a seat the whole time. My herniated disc, a herniated disc in my back. I'm sitting down on a bike and I'm hunched over, and so it's like separating the two. It's separating my back enough to where I can actually like sit on the seat still. So I'm able to operate. I don't receive any government benefits. I don't even get food stamps. But, people that are rich want to call people lazy. In the middle class, the thing that I have, the criticism that I have towards them is that they are calling the poor class lazy. So that's where the criticism belongs when it comes to the middle class, is that they're yelling about, oh, these poor people ain't doing enough. But bro, you took my fucking job. The reason why you are successful is because you took my fucking job, and you're not even doing your job right. You know what I mean? So I do agree with the point that nobody's really doing their job properly, but it's not, they don't have as much power as you would think because they're distracted. The country was founded by capitalism, and it turned from capitalism to socialism and special interest groups. We've been invaded. Israel got invaded. 90% of the NGOs that deal with humanitarian aid are pushing for an invasion because they are the invaders. Those NGOs that are pushing for an invasion do not speak for the rest of Israel. Because that's the big thing that the 20-year-olds are screaming and yelling about, is Israel this, Israel that. Dude, Israel doesn't have as much to do with this as you think. So it's really the fact that, yeah, the squeaky wheel got the grease. And there shouldn't have been a squeaky wheel. We shouldn't have been allowing these people to break through across the border to begin with. They're invaders. Trump did everything that he could, and he was fair about it. That's what's mind-blowing about this whole situation. If it was me, dude, there would be a civil war. It would be, get these fucking illegals out at all costs. If you know that they're illegally here, incentivize them, give them, rewards to get them out. We can't settle our differences until these people are gone. Okay? Not all of them are terrible people, but the fact is we can't solve our differences. We can't fix this country if we have a bunch of invaders taking all the jobs and taking all the benefits that could go to people who need help. Oh, so Trump enriching his family and companies while in office. I keep hearing about this. That's just how it works in business, dude. You can't get mad because he's making money while he's in office. The dude didn't even take a paycheck on his first run. I don't even think he's taking a paycheck now. No, we would have cheap. Somebody said we wouldn't have cheap food without the invaders. Yeah, we would. Yeah, we would. If these company owners actually wanted to, what they call is reinvent the wheel, they're doing it in Germany. They got these indoor grow houses that are automated. They got moving tables. We could be doing that too, but those people who are in charge, the people who have the money, don't want to upgrade. That's the real problem. They want to keep relying on this slave labor. That's the problem. That's why things are expensive, is because nobody's upgrading. You look at China, they're upgrading. You look at Germany even. They're upgrading. Go pick in the fields. I can't because my fucking back, dude. If I had the capital, I would be running an automated system to grow plants. That's one thing that we should be funding right now. If we were to put our tax money towards anything important, it would be first food. A child could tell you that we need to be putting our money towards the development of simple ways to grow food, where it's manual and no electricity required. Capital is going to collapse. Yeah, we're basically at the Great Depression levels. It's actually worse than during the Great Depression right now for people. But the Great Depression happened because, first of all, Britain sold our bonds. They sold their investments with us. And then a huge oil company, I think it was, or a metal company, one of these big companies sold off like 20% of its stocks. And that created a cascade effect of just the whole stock market ended up collapsing. And that's what led into the Great Depression. They were leveraged 100x at the time. So we're at that level now. You look at the stock market, everybody is leveraged 100x. We're literally in the same boat as just about 100 years ago. So it's like history is rhyming right now. It's not simple. Food is hard. Ask Africa. Africa has problems because they never actually implemented a rule of law. You know what I mean? Like there's just a bunch of just nomads basically, and they don't want to actually farm. They're trying to end the lives of white farmers in South Africa. Like they're unruly over there. That's why they are having a problem. It's not because they can't grow. It's that, yeah. Yes, leverage creates volatility, but what if AI pays off? AI is a big bubble. There's companies right now that are building systems using AI, and they're hiding that technology from the general public. They don't want you to have access to that technology. You have to build it yourself. So if I had the capital, I would build a business, not with food, with leather. I would be capitalizing on the fact that leather scraps are so cheap. Once they're done with the big pieces of leather, they sell the little scraps. And you could capitalize on that. You could make cheap bags. You can make cheap stuff out of leather. That's what would be my business if I started a business. But it would take just manual systems, no electricity required, in order to make these bags quick, or make whatever it is that I would be using the scrap to make. Do it then. I already started, but I don't have any more materials. I can't afford more materials. Like I said, I can only make about $15 every run that I go out. That's how much a bag of leather costs. I already did it. I already started making bags. I already showed you. Were you in this trap before? Like this. Oh. I already started making bags. I got 3 of these bags. I just don't have any more leather. I ran out of leather. I can't make any more. Yeah, I already started that. Just don't have enough materials left. Like I got some materials. Look at this. See this little keychain? I got a whole bag of keychains. Like I already started stocking up. I got. Oh, 1 second. Where is that? Right here. I got string to make the stuff. I already ran through a couple of these spools already. want to see what I'm dealing with here. I gotta make sure I pull out a couple of these things, huh? So here, see what I mean? Oh shit! I'm gonna take that out of there, right? Has my name on it. But yeah, I got a whole sewing kit. I got stuff that's incomplete. I actually started trying to use rubber from tires that were spent to make stuff out of, but you know, zippers that are unused. But you know, I already started building a business. I just don't have enough materials to continue it. I know how to advertise it. I just go to a flea market, walk around. I am the solution. That's what I'm doing. Show us your GTR, bro. What's a GTR? Your Gator? No buyers? Well, I mean, like, I'm not selling the stuff yet. I need to make multiple bags. I got to make an actual prototype that's, you know, I already have the prototype built. I just got to get more materials. Like, for instance, look. That's all leather, but little tiny scraps. The scraps are too small to make anything out of. I already exhausted my supply. So if I were to try to make another one of these big bags, I would have to piece together tiny, like scraps like that small. That's what I'm left with. I don't have enough leather to make anything out of anymore. It sucks. Like, look at this. Yeah. Dog finger. Oh, shit. I don't have any healthcare plan. I don't have anything. I don't get anything from the government. I don't have any plans like that. I'm just on my own, basically. Besides, I have a roof over my head and a shower to access. I was doing really good before. But if I was allowed to sleep when I needed to sleep, that would have been nice. But I was kept up. I'll tell you this much, man. I'm glad that I'm 100% glad that I never got into drugs. Because imagine it. Imagine being that stuck, where not only are you stuck in this kind of position, but you're also addicted to drugs. Like, this is how tempted I am. I ended up getting medicine for my tooth because it was like about a week ago, or not a week ago, probably like 2 weeks ago. I had an infection in my tooth. No, it was about a month ago. And like, look, I still got the same. I still got the same amount that I started with. I took a half of one of those. Somebody else grabbed another one of those, but you know, I'm not even tempted to consume that. Those are for an emergency. Okay. Because I've been hit by a car twice and I got a fucked up back. I can't stand for more than an hour without collapsing. That's why I can't get a job standing or walking around doing things. I can sit on a bike seat for maybe an hour and a half too before I collapse. That's why I don't get a job working at a place for 9 hours a day. I got hit by a car twice. The vibe, yeah, dude. Well, here's the thing: is that like I went with orange to stand out at my job. At first, I used yellow, like the bright yellow, and then I didn't like the color enough, and it was getting dirty. Whenever it got like just a little splotch of grease or whatever on it, it would just stand out like a sore thumb. So I started using orange, and I just went with it. And I was like, I hear people hate it, like Trump haters. They're like, "Orange man bad," and I was like, "Bro, orange, let's go. I'm orange man now." Yeah. The garage on my way back to the and front of my goose was empty, so I'm going back and forth with it. That's weird. I don't know what you just said, man. Don't that dude just said. Oh my god. Yeah. Why don't I get a job, dude? I wish I could. I would rather not risk my life going 45 miles per hour down the road to make $15 getting swerved at by vehicles and shit. No, I would rather not do that. I'd rather go and get an actual job. But I can't. I was already having problems with my knee to begin with, let alone now my back's fucked up and my knee has been completely demolished. Whenever I use my bike, I'm always using my right foot to push with. Okay, well, the color orange isn't bad, just Trump's decisions? What do you mean his decisions, bro? He's been making all the right decisions, mostly. He's made really good decisions. You guys are very misled on what Trump did. Would you want OSHA to visit your job site and fine you $10,000 because there's a ladder that's still up? He prevented OSHA from going and destroying businesses. He prevented huge government regulations that would prevent you from pulling that red tape and actually building. He's done so much for this country. He's stifled China from being able to continue taking our jobs. He brought manufacturing back. That's his big thing, is he wants to bring manufacturing back to this country. So that's really what we need. And the way that we can do that is be less reliant on electricity and create manual systems, automated manual systems. Not manual systems, automated systems that require no electricity, and it's basically manual because you're hitting a lever and it goes and does its thing. We need to go back to the old days, to the Industrial Revolution type mentality. That's how we need to take over. We need to stop buying our shit from China, stop buying $5,000 refrigerators from China that only cost $100 to make. You really need to think about the situation we're in. We've been robbed by the entire world. The reason why we did what we did in Iran is, first of all, that their leadership threatened the entire world nuclear devastation if they ever got their hands on a nuclear weapon. Number one, all of the presidents decades back were saying we need to prevent Iran from getting their hands on a nuclear weapon. Every president, including Obama. Okay? And then, number two, China's getting cheap oil from Iran. And that's how they're able to continuously take our jobs and to keep that stronghold over our manufacturing industry. So Trump's a genius. He hit two birds with one stone, or two sparrows with one stone. He's a smart fella there. He wants to get rid of fentanyl, a deadly chemical. He stopped the invasion of our border. He's stopping fraud. People that are invading our country from getting free benefits that should be going to Americans. He's done so much. And there's only so much that he can do. But he's done a lot. His first term, he was interrupted the whole time. They were trying to put him in jail the entire time. They wasted his energy on things that shouldn't have even mattered. Stuff that's going on in the business industry constantly. I'm a strong, hardcore Trump supporter. Trump can barely do anything wrong. I'm telling y'all. He's a genius. Some of his advisors are a little bit iffy. Like Scott Bessent, he was, recently he's shown his better colors. But like Scott Bessent looked like a mole for a while. Recently I heard him talking, and he's on board. He's doing the right things, but a lot of his advisors, especially during his 2016 stay in office, were just terrible advisors. They didn't do anything. They didn't do any actual work. They were just being moles. I'm glad that Scott Bessent has, continued to speak out and continued to support Trump's policies. Yeah, Obama spied and lied. Obama made it legal for drones to look into your yard and to take pictures of you while you're leaving your house. Like, go look that up. Obama sold out your fucking information, man. Obama gave piles of cash to the Iranian leadership, and they went and they instead of feeding their own people, they dug weapons into the sand. Obama did spy and lie. He promoted the spies. You know, he also spied on the Trump campaign. He made up this Russian collusion hoax when in fact it was actually probably Hillary that was doing it, that was literally colluding with them. Hillary, as the secretary, she ended up using a private email server, and basically it got like fully hacked, probably by the Russians. And on top of that, there was like one of our bases got attacked, and she could have done something to prevent it, but she didn't. She just allowed atrocities to occur. On top of that, they made it look like Trump was the one colluding, when in fact it might have been. If you look up Dan Bongino, I think it's Uzbekistan, they were laundering uranium through those Middle Eastern countries, laundering it through them. Go look up this stuff. I've been following what's been going on for many, many, many years. There's decades of information that you're not informed about. You're just saying Trump bad, Orange Man bad. You don't know the whole story, because the dude is as sainthood as you could get, while still, you know, taking charge and doing what he does in his own time. People say, "Oh, he's benefited $1 billion from cryptocurrency." Bro, that's people giving him donations. That's just like the Andrew Tate situation. Andrew Tate is like, "Hey man, you know, go ahead and make the tokens, but make sure you give me all the creator fees." Now his fucking token is down to like 300K market cap, the most fucking unpopular popular coin. But, you know, Trump didn't demand, "Hey, give me some money." He was just a face on, you know, the front of crypto because he was a crypto man. He was like, "Hell yeah, Bitcoin, let's go." Giving billions of dollars donations to the president, well, they're giving hundreds of thousands of dollars in donations to Ansem. Are you going to call that out? While the tokens that are giving those donations are rug pulling, are you going to talk about that? Are you going to talk about copycat tokens that are saying, "Hey, look, we support Ansem. Come join us. Come buy this token," and then it rug pulls? Are you going to talk about that? Because that's what's going on right now. Go do some research before you just knock on one dude. Yeah, Iran is definitely full of these people that want to see the Western world burn, and that in itself is reason enough to have gone in there. And in general, all we're looking for is denuclearize. Don't continue enriching the uranium further than it is. All right, we're being very reasonable. Leave the Strait of Hormuz open. Don't charge people a fucking toll for going through the Strait of Hormuz. Stop attacking Israel. Stop funding terrorism. If we're going to give you money, you're going to fucking feed your people finally. They're starving. You know? You're going to stop attacking your people in the streets. Yeah, it is at this point too late for negotiations. This is what he wanted. This was the deal on the table. Now we have to take action, and I'm glad that he's doing what he's doing. He has to do it. It's not all of Iran. There's many Iranian citizens that want peace, but the leadership will not allow it. They shoot their own people in the streets if they speak out against these atrocities. Yeah, I'm not talking about Iranian citizens. I'm talking about the leadership. Yeah, he did beg. He fucking begged them. He's like, "Hey man, please guys, let's find peace." And it didn't work. So it is what it is, man. They've been attacking boats. They've been attacking their own neighbors. You want to talk about Israel attacking neighbors? Bro, they've been attacking their own neighbors that were supposed to be friends with them. With something in Bahrain where like the drones that are supposed to be following flight paths and helping out have been hacked into, probably by Iranians. They've been attacking Saudi ships. They've been attacking Greek ships. They've been attacking these oil tankers that are just trying to pass through peacefully. Yeah, they don't own the strait. They shouldn't be charging people a toll to get through. So Saudi Arabia is building a new port to bypass that strait. So Saudi Arabia is literally working with us because they know the Iranian leadership fucked over its own people, and the Iranian leadership is not looking for peace. Yeah, this person is 100% saintful in this situation. Like, I wish it had gone a different way, but if it's got to be this way, then let's go. That's the way it's got to be at this point. It's sad. Trump did everything that he could to keep it peaceful, to not have to launch a missile, to not do anything to harm people. He didn't want people to die. If he wanted people to die, he would have just nuked the whole fucking area. He wouldn't even need to use a nuke. All he's been doing is trying to find peace and making it fair for everybody. Trump's a genius, but he's also a very nice person. He's a very fair person. Art of the deal. You have to be fair about it. Everybody's got to win in the deal. That's what he tried to do. Tried to make a deal. They didn't want to make a deal. Now they're getting fucking their infrastructure blown up. It is what it is. You can bitch and moan about Israel all you want, but Israel left pamphlets. They flew pamphlets out into Gaza, into the Gaza Strip, and said to the people that lived there, leave the Gaza Strip so we can go after the terrorists. The people that attacked us on October, whatever day it was, and it was basically like their 9/11. If you compare the amount of the total population of Israel to the amount of people that lost their lives and were kidnapped during that attack in October, it was like 2024, I think it was. If you compare that to the 9/11 attacks on the Twin Towers in America, is the same proportion compared to their whole population. That attack was their 9/11. They did everything that they could have done right. They tried to warn the Gazans, the Palestinians, please leave so we can go after the people that are not only controlling you guys, but also attacking us. They did everything that they could have. It's sad. And then they started getting launched. Then they got bombs launched at them, missiles launched at them from Lebanon. That's why they're in Lebanon. Oh, they're attacking Lebanon. Yeah, no shit, because they got fucking missiles launching coming from Lebanon. It's not because they're just trying to cause devastation, man. Trump did what he did so that the car insurance would fund. What the fuck is this dude talking about? I'm going to give you, Victor, I'm going to give you a chance to truly rethink your strategy. I'll give you about a minute. So I'm going to put you on timeout for a whole minute. Please stop spamming stupid crap. Yeah. Usury worldwide needs to end. There should be a strong usury and frivolous lawsuit legislation. If they ended up going after all of that, the monetary stuff, they would find that it's special NGOs that invaded Israel, and it's not Israel themselves. Yeah, some of the rabbis have some dirty talk, but even the rabbis are, some of them have been misled, and it's been an invasion, man. That's why we got most of these problems. Our countries got invaded. Yeah, I'm not blindly supporting Israel. I'm not blindly supporting Trump. But a lot of people that are hateful of Trump are blindly hating him. You have to do the research first. Well, we don't even need to nuke. When the nukes fly, this world is going to be something else. We don't even need to nuke. We have bombs that are just as strong and powerful as nukes without having to do that. I don't know why we're wasting time with Cuba though. That's a different story. I know this is totally off topic, but I don't know why we're wasting our time in Cuba. It's kind of weird. Like I half understand, but I really don't. I think we should just like it, but it doesn't matter. It is what it is. Marco Rubio might have a point. Um, he could be the next president, you know. Listen, Victor, you're the thing that you're doing wrong is that you're spamming, and it's like a lot of incomprehensible text. I can't even understand what you're trying to say. So, complete change. It will get there to protect ourselves. Yeah, possibly. Maybe that's what's going on in Cuba. We're trying to protect ourselves, but a lot of people got the wrong idea. You got to do a lot of research. Yeah, it's incomprehensible. Like you had mixed, like there was no grammar involved with your text. I don't understand what you're trying to say. No offense. Maybe you were trying to say something important. Maybe you're trying to say something that was strong and useful. But I'm gonna take an antibiotic because I'm starting to feel a little bit of pressure in my tooth. They're half educated. Yeah, it's due to a lot of misinformation. It's here's the thing: is that some other things might be true, but a lot of this stuff is a distraction from what's really going on. Hence the Epstein situation. We want to talk about Epstein so much. Well, do you even know what Epstein's goal was? They were trying to put teddy bears with AI into your kids' bedrooms. That's what you should be screaming about. The AI connection to Epstein is kind of deep. You really want to see the problem. They're trying to get AI into your kids' bedrooms, man. Like that's really the thing that people should be screaming about. So if there was any criticism to be had, it's that nobody's talking about that. I knew about that 10 years ago, before I ever made a video online. Yeah, baby farming, basically. But right now I'm going to take an antibiotic because I feel pressure in my tooth, and it's like kind of scary. I might need to go to the hospital and get antibiotics, and another $200-$300 bill just for them to tell me, hey, yeah, here's go to this store and buy a fucking pill. I wish I could get it pulled out, but the only people that actually get their teeth fixed are, foreign invaders and rich people, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I have to call the rich people on that. If you're rich, you get your teeth fixed. If you're not, then you get fucked. And even a lot of rich people don't even get their teeth fixed. It's weird. It's like there's people with so much money, and it's like, why don't you get your teeth fixed? You can. I have a question. If the Epstein survivor girls went to the Epstein mansions and places voluntarily paid to get paid for something and lied about their age, yeah, that is kind of weird, huh? I didn't even think of that. That's interesting. Wow, I didn't even think of that. So it seems like it was targeted. It seems like these girls were probably led by someone else, and Epstein is even less involved with the situation. But regardless, what's going on today, there's atrocities being committed. One of the things that I yelled about in the chats, in the text chats, is oil pulling. I'll talk about my tooth in a few minutes, I guess. So there's things going on when it comes to crimes against children today. Many of these people are actually led down rabbit holes, and many of these people have been making bad decisions because that's all that's left. That's all available. That's all that's left and available for them to do. I'm not giving them an excuse. You shouldn't be doing that. But what a lot of people have done is they've chased a rabbit hole trying to find connection with people, and all they find is children everywhere. Because the older generation, they're like, hey, give me money, give me money, give me money. And then you got the younger generation that's like, hey, I'm an adult. Here, pay me money. So, like the problem is more deep set than you think. And we could be calling out these problems right now, but we need to be calling out these companies for facilitating it. So one of the things that were brought to my attention, because I don't use Facebook, but somebody had told me about, is that apparently there's families on Facebook that allow live stream cameras, like literally just surveillance cameras, like security cameras. People can watch through them, and there's children in those videos. I don't know what those children are up to, but why is nobody speaking up about that? You go on Snapchat. If you're a young person, you know about this problem. Snapchat, you got children in the public profiles. What the fuck, dude? You get Snapchat facilitating the public posting of children. Like, these are the problems that are going on today. I don't know why everybody's screaming about Epstein. That happened 25 fucking years ago. It's bad what's been going on today. And it's very enticing to anybody that's trying to actually get connection with anyone. You talk to the older generation of women, and it's like it's almost impossible to make any decent connection with them. No wonder there's people making bad decisions. You got the older generation of women being assholes and demanding money just to have a conversation with them. That has got to stop. These companies, these live stream companies, these social media companies have turned the women into whores. And the younger generation sees that and they're like, I want a piece too. Nobody's talking about this shit. But that's something that's going on today that we could fix right now. Hold these companies accountable. But nobody's yelling about that. Everybody's screaming about Epstein. Bro, Epstein is long gone. The justice has already been served. The dude's dead. And let's talk about what's going on today, right? I really thought Iran would have seen the bad ways it could have gone, the way it has, yeah, it could have gone way worse, right? But no, these people they're suicidal. They don't care. If they lied about their age, then it's on them. Yeah, to a point, absolutely. For sure. Joke, I really hope you don't lose and get it fixed. Don't lose it and get it fixed. It's bad. Oh no, I want to lose my wisdom tooth. It's a wisdom tooth. I wish I could just knock the thing out of my tooth, out of my mouth. I would have already. If it was safe to do. I like your thought pattern. You're down to earth and seem to have a genuine good head. Yes, thank you. That's what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look, we can coexist. No one's perfect. True Christians understand that the world is not perfect. And in order to make it better, we need to understand the actual problems, especially the ones that are going on today, and how to solve them where everybody benefits. And that's the type of person Trump is. You know, Trump is he's trying to make fair deals with people. No one's perfect, man. Everybody's got their problems. And there's problems that one person, thinks this is more terrible than what they're doing. You know, it's like it doesn't matter what the problem is. We can fix this. We can solve this if we just work together, if we try to build together. Stop competing against each other. America wasn't hyper political back in the day. It was you do what you would like to do on your own property, don't harm people. Evil exists as an example for us what not to do. Because God is what punishes us at the end of the day. We can see these examples. We can get angry that this stuff happens, that stuff happens. But in reality, our relationship with God is more important. It's above all. And you can't solve all of the problems in the world, even if you laid a heavy hand on everything. That's why Trump is a person that wants to deregulate, because more regulations doesn't fix the problem. Strong stanced few laws fix the problem at the end of the day, because everybody's under the impression of, oh, okay, yeah, this is simple. Everybody can agree with that. And how hard is it to agree with the 10 Commandments? Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not, adultery, that's rape. It's not about marriage. It's about leaving a child behind unprotected with that woman, and the woman can't fend for herself. She's pregnant. You leave behind a child, that's a sin. That's what adultery, that's where it applies. It's not really about the marriage part. It's about don't leave behind a child that you created. Don't be a deadbeat dad. Every one of these invaders that are coming over here, they've left a child behind. They're all committing adultery. None of this had to happen, yeah. It sucks. It totally sucks. I spoke to Iranians, in calls, in chats and in calls. I've spoke to Iranians. They admire the Americans. They admire the United States. They admire the Western world. They want to coexist. The leadership over there won't allow them to. We don't hate Iran. Trump supporters don't hate Iran. We don't even hate transgenders. We just don't want them in the fucking bathroom with girls. Like, what the hell, dude? How is that hard to accept? There's like people in the LGBT and they're just like, oh, you're so hateful against people because they're transgender. No, not really. I get along with a transgender. I get along with whoever the hell you are. If you're gay, you're straight, whoever you are, black, white, Asian, whoever the fuck you are, I'm going to get along with you. Just, don't break into the country. Don't break into the girl's bathroom. It's simple. It's simple shit. This wasn't hard to do. Get the men out of the women's sports. It's not a women's sport if a male's in it. You don't want to. You don't want your wife to go compete in a sport and then get fucking body checked by a dude. Nobody wants to see that either. It's common sense, dude. It's not only creepy, but it's terrible. It's a crime. Men shouldn't be smashing around women. I thought we were all on the same page. LGBT is like advocating for women abuse. Like, what are you doing? You're not LGBT anymore. You've been taken over by special interest groups. I used to support LGBT because it used to be a movement about love. It's about, you know what I mean? Like, people put me in that basket. They're like, oh, you're a commie. No, if you talked to me 10 years ago, I would have been, supporting LGBT because it was a movement about love and peace, coexisting. Now it's become a movement of let's abuse women. Like, what? Fucking idiots. Like, you don't even stand for what you claim to stand for anymore. So that's why I can't identify as a liberal anymore. I used to identify as a liberal. Fucking idiots, dude. Now I'm supporting the Christian conservative side. And why? Because they are more common sense than the left side. The left side has gone nuts. They think deadly chemicals should be allowed on the street. No, fentanyl is a deadly chemical. And there's drugs even stronger than that. No, we need to get that shit off the streets, man. Make weed legal, not deadly chemicals. That's that type of down-to-earth shit that we need. That's that real shit that we need, just common sense. It didn't take a genius to come up with this. It was just seeing things for the truth that it is. That's all it took. If you want to be weird, if you want to go do meth, do it in your fucking basement. Keep it out of the streets. Keep it out of the kids' faces. If you're going to do heroin, keep it out of the gas station. 70H? There's kids buying 70H at the gas station. What the hell? You got heroin, gas station heroin available to children. What? With this weed thing, the cannabinoid stuff, HHC, that's a synthetic. It's a poison. It kills your brain cells. Cannabinoids don't. THC is natural. We have cannabinoid receptors. It's natural for us to actually consume it. If you're having a panic attack on it, it might be the first time you ever smoked weed, or you're smoking HHC. You see that, you know about it. Like, I did it for like a week, and I felt brain dead as if I had taken tabs of acid. It was like my brain went dead for like probably a good couple weeks after the fact. HHC is bad, man. And they sneak it into all these vapes. You have to read your vape. You got to make sure that it does not have HHC. If you are a consumer of THC and you're like, oh man, I need something, dude, find the one that does not have HHC. Yeah. Well, the thing is THCP, that actually has a better effect on you. And it's actually more potent than THC, but it's safer to use, in my opinion. This is not health advice. I got to say that just to make sure. But if you're going to do anything and you're trying to look for that fix and you're a THC user, find the one where it's like pure THCP. Weird name, right? But it hits your receptor 10 times harder than THC. So it's actually what you want, but it's not dangerous as long as it doesn't have HHC in it. I've been yelling and screaming about it. It's worse than K2. First time that I tried a gas station vape, I tried HHC by itself. I had a bad trip. It was a trip. I tried driving after the fact. I was panicking, hallucinating. A bad road. Yeah. Yeah, and imagine how many kids are ingesting HHC thinking that it's weed. And then the kids, like, they go retarded, and the parents are like, "Oh, weed's bad. Oh my god, weed's bad. That's not weed, man. They're not consuming weed. They're consuming a deadly chemical. Make weed legal, not deadly chemicals. Weed should be legal, but regulated, 21 and over. And if a parent's going to administer it to a child, their own child, it has to be, their decision to do so. And you know what I mean? Legalize weed, not alcohol. Like, here's the thing with alcohol. There's a lot of people who mix alcohol with weed, and they think, like, that's totally fine. All right. Alcoholics. I used to be an alcoholic, and I would smoke weed, and it felt like it was totally fine. But I look at myself now compared to back then, my brain's more functional than in when I was 28. I'm 37 now. My brain is more functional now than 10 years ago. And that's after I quit drinking 7 years ago. I made it a goal that by 30 years old, I will stop drinking. And I followed through. So if you're an alcoholic and you're having problems, feel like you're a little bit fuzzy, that's why. Because alcohol is meant to kill. It's used mostly to kill cells. So it's literally killing brain cells as you consume it. Weed isn't really killing your brain cells in that way. It's depriving it of oxygen. So if you're only smoking weed and you're not breathing in actual real air, then you're depriving your brain of oxygen. Just like I am in this tiny room right now. Like, I'm fuzzy right now because I'm in a small room. I'm smoking a cigarette. So I'm breathing in stale air. That's what's causing the problem. It's not because you're smoking weed. It's because you're breathing in stale air. So drink in moderation. Don't drink yourself stupid. Don't drink every day, or else you're going to have that fuzziness. And that's not health advice either. None of this is advice. This is just from personal experience. You know, yeah, it's probably better if you don't do any of the stuff. If you haven't tried weed before, don't waste your time. Go on a run. That's what's going to get rid of your anxiety. Go on a walk, go on a run. Sadly enough, I can't go for a run anymore. So I can't run anymore because of my leg. Sucks. Somebody hit me and the lawyers earned $3,000. I got $3,000. So the lawyers earned money on my tragedy. They told me not to, like, while I was getting treated, they told me not to file for disability. I'm like, why? So I waited 7 months for a settlement, and I finally got the money, and it was like, I had things to pay. I couldn't go and spend it anywhere, and I tried to get a vehicle, right? And then I find out insurance, I'm gonna have to spend $1,000 of this just to get insurance back because I had to cancel my plan. So, yeah, I've just been stuck and fucked. It is what it is. But we can build above this. We can rise above it. And it's as simple as continuing to tell, spread the truth, spread awareness. I don't know, build. We need to build. That's really what we need to do. We need to build our own supply chain. And I can't do it alone. What I can do is I can tell people that's what we need to do. That's what I'm good at. And I don't mean this in any negativity, guys. I want everybody to coexist. I want people, if you're evil, you feel like you're evil or something, you can be saved. You're being possessed by a demon. You can be saved. That's for every single person on the planet. If you're dealing with some inner demons, these inner demons are just there possessing you for a limited time. And once they've used you up, they toss you out like a rag. The system isn't designed to make you whole again. The system was designed to, like, capitalism was to give everybody a chance to rise up and to become something. The problem is when we're young, we're we're just young and dumb. And if we don't have any guidance towards building a business or anything, then we don't know what to do. So I feel some sympathy towards the 20-year-olds. But the 20-year-olds think, hey, let's go rob everybody. That's what they're doing instead. They're like, oh, we can't come up, so let's go and rob everybody. So they're doing that shit through Pump Fund. Like, you got hundreds and hundreds, well, thousands of 20-year-olds just robbing each other through insider trading groups. And this kind of stuff is happening everywhere. You get in the cities, right? This is where I split away from the conservative side a little bit, and I expect people not to agree with this. So we have the inner city, right? What do you do when your parents can barely afford food on the table? That's when they can't afford food on the table. That's when they're not getting government benefits. It's when they're actually working hard and they have barely anything to expend. They don't have expendable income. Well, that kid turns 18 and they get booted out into the street, and they're expected to get on their feet just all of a sudden. You can't expect them to just get on their fucking feet. They do have, like, BLM had half of an argument behind them, backing them up. The other half, making it about race, wasn't really the situation, all right? The thing is that they made it about race rather than the fact that it's about poverty. So that was the tragedy that occurred with BLM. And they basically robbed their own people. There were tons and tons of donations, billions of dollars of donations given to BLM, and they went and spent it on themselves. They bought mansions. They didn't go feed their people. They didn't go build systems. So BLM really fucked us and fucked themselves at the end of the day because of greed. And yeah, stop donating to BLM. They're the ones pushing for an invasion into this country. They're the ones working with the 90% of NGOs that are pushing for an invasion into the country coming out of Israel. You want to complain about Israel? Complain about BLM, who's directly involved. Go look it up on Google. He's saying that the reason why he's saying bro Vietnam War is over is because he's seeing like a thing on my head. He's like, oh, he must be a veteran, something like that. So, but yeah, they had half of an argument. But now we're looking at, like, they didn't use their funds to actually help the community. And that's pretty much, like, the biggest threat to, let's put it in quotes, black people. The biggest threat to them is the invasion, because those invaders are taking their jobs. They're going into the inner cities and they're taking all that's left. So it's a huge threat. BLM is a threat to their own people. If they want to act like, oh, they're, these are our people. No, those are not your organizations. They are pushing for an invasion into your own cities. Drop BLM like it's a bad habit, because those fuckers took all your money. Yeah, they'll never see it. Well, I think they will. I think I reach a different type of audience. I think I reach the low apples on the tree kind of audience, and that's perfectly fine. I consider my audience to be more of a normie audience, which is perfectly awesome, because that means I'm getting that message to the right people. I stood with BLM in the sense that if it's about poverty, yes, I understand. You throw somebody out on the street at 18 and they don't have the tools to get by, of course they're going to go steal. Of course they're going to go, cause problems with other people, because that's all they have left. That's all they have access to. So I felt in solidarity with that problem, What they turned it into was race. So instead of actually seeing what the real problem is that foreigners have taken your jobs, and yeah, some of these rich people have definitely just totally ignored the inner cities. Well, you had all of this big change in 2020 and this big uprising of BLM, and did it change anything? Did it fix anything for you? Nope. Nope. And that's because it got taken over by special interests and they fucked you. So what you need to do is you need to drop BLM like a bad habit and, work on your own localities. Start building a business. Take that business back from these invaders. They took your jobs. When I see an African American out there working, doing these jobs, doing these small businesses, I'm like, bro, fuck yeah, that's what needs to happen. Rise the hell up, build a business, be above them, be above these invaders, because those fuckers took your jobs. They took my jobs. I was supporting Trump from the beginning in 2014 because I knew about this invasion. 2014 was before Trump was even there. So I was on board with Trump. As soon as he came into the light, came onto the stage, I was like, bro, that's the guy. That's the guy. I'm voting for him. That's what I did. Yeah, they've been used as chess pieces at this point. But those special interest groups, they want to take me out. So that's why they come around and troll. And you can tell that these people are lonely millionaires that robbed everybody else. They're real trolls. They fucked over this country. They pushed for an invasion of this country. They robbed you of all your money. And they still want more. And they want to sow division so that you never see what the actual problem ever was. And that's why I get mad at the conservative side, by the way. So when the conservatives are like, there's a certain demographic that's causing most of the problems, I'm like, bro, guys, that's why Charlie Kirk was shot. You don't understand. That's why Charlie Kirk was attacked. He was attacked indirectly from like the LGBT community, Tyler Robinson, indirectly. They tried to make it look like it was an LGBT situation. No, it was not the LGBT that had anything to do with it. It wasn't Antifa that had anything to do with it. They were just used as also pawns by BLM. BLM is behind the shooting of Charlie Kirk, in my opinion. And when they want to make an Israel connection, that's the Israel connection. So the Israel NGOs that were invaders to begin with, those people, Israel got invaded by special interests. Those special interests came over here, fucked with our Western economies, fucked with our humanitarian aid, and those people linked up with BLM. Go ask Google. Where's the proof? Go ask Google. Ask Google if this is true in any way, if there's any connection with this. Go and ask Google. I asked Google. That's where I came up with this. I was like, what's the connection? Is there any special groups, special interest groups that are working with the 90% of NGOs that are pushing for an invasion into the country? And it said BLM is directly involved. That was Google. Go look it up. It doesn't even take looking down a rabbit hole to know this shit if you just know how culture works. And want to do quotes again. African Americans, they fucking know what the problem is. There's so many conservatives, man. There's so many Christian conservatives out there that are on that realize they're opening their brains up to what's really going on. BLM is a plague on the entire American society. They did not help their own people. They didn't do any of that. They fucked us over. And they pushed for an invasion. Charlie Kirk was saying, this is where I had the problem with conservatives saying this. Charlie Kirk, as well as other conservative commentators, have said there's a certain demographic, alluding to a certain demographic of people that are causing most of the violent crime. That's what he was saying. And then they made it look like he was being shot because he called out transgenders as that group. No, the screaming fact above all that they keep trying to make is that black people are causing most of the violent crime. That's what they're trying to say. All right? You got to stop saying that. If you're a Christian conservative, stop saying that, you know? It might be true, but there's a fucking reason why it's happening that way. It's because they're stuck in the inner city. There's a reason why. You know, I'm not trying to be wokey or anything. I'm just looking at the facts. You can't blame it on black people. You can't just be like, oh, black people are causing all the issues. There's a reason why most of the violent crime is caused by them. It's because they're stuck in a fucking war zone. You know, BLM is government funded? No shit. Because BLM is the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. No fucking shit. You're right. Yeah, BLM is government funded. Because they're screaming at the top of their lungs, help us, while they aid an invasion. They're teaching people to come into the country and steal our shit. And when these invaders go into the inner city, they're taking all the good jobs that are left. So African Americans that are stuck in those places, as well as white people, as well as Asians, aren't getting access to those jobs. Because they aided an invasion. They told these people, this is how you screw the system. Here, this is how you get $3,000 a fucking month for free from the government just for coming into the country. You don't even have to work. It's been verified, man. We got to fight for our freedom. Nothing is getting handed to us on a platter. Yeah, that's for sure. That's why I'm doing that. That's why I'm talking about what's really going on here. We got to build businesses. We got to build the supply chain. I can't do very much. My back's destroyed. I got hit by a car twice. You know, I can't even stand for more than an hour and a half. What I can do is I can sit on this camera and I can fucking tell you guys exactly what needs to be done and turn down all the fucking lies. You know, I could tell everybody who's lying. I could set things straight. That's what I'm trying to do. That this is my last attempt at fixing things. This is all I can really do. I'm doing my best. I go to work every day. I try to do whatever I can, you know. But this is what I can do. I'm going to offer truth. I'm going to offer perspective, and I'm going to try to set things straight that way. That's all I can really do. If I could sit on here for 8 hours a day, you know, I appreciate it. I appreciate it, guys, and I hope that this doesn't offend anybody, because I'm also not trying to defend people. I'm not trying to offend people. I'm trying to get people to the truth so they understand that the problem is even less complicated than we know, but it's also more complicated than what's led on to be believed. Because you got people saying, "Oh, it's Israel." Well, no. These NGOs coming out of Israel, they were original invaders. Those people are those NGOs that are causing the problem. Those people are invaders. You know, it sucks. And then I look at the situation, and I'm like, bro, Charlie Kirk was saying something that a lot of these conservative commentators are saying, and BLM pushed LGBT to take the shot. LGBT was used as a spent rag. And now they don't want really anything to do with them. You know, that's my opinion. That's why Candace Owens, she's like, oh, it's Israel, it's Israel, it's Israel. Yeah, but who in Israel? It's not Israel entirely. It's not the nation of Israel is like, oh, we'll do this. It's corrupt rabbis and corrupt NGOs that are pushing for an invasion of the country. It ain't Israel itself. It ain't Jewish people themselves. They just want to work or be educated and grow their families and live just like the Amish. Yeah, they might be taking quite a bit of funding to keep their families afloat. Tyler Oliveira, I have watched Tyler Oliveira, but at the end of the day, those people aren't causing huge issues. Those people aren't going around and committing violent crimes. You know, you got people that are just trying to follow the Bible and spread the word of God. Those Jews don't want to cause problems. And then, you go into a synagogue. There's somebody that was like, they went into a synagogue and they were like, "Hey, am I allowed here? I'm a Muslim." And they were like, "No, no, no, get out, get out, get out." And reason why is because, well, it could be it could be a threat, and they're allowed to do that. All right. If you don't agree with what they believe in, then they just don't want anything to do with it. It's a kind of an exclusive community. The difference between Jews and Christians is that Christians are more exclusive. That's why Christians have been infiltrated by an entity that pushes for an invasion. It's because Christians are actually inclusive. Candace Owens, she's basically having conversations with these people, and they're pushing that disinformation into her head. She's not a hateful person. She's not a terrible person, but she has been misled. Okay? I had to unsubscribe to her because she's trying to say that Israel did something, and it's like, well, let's get down to the actual details. Stop saying that you have the source. You have a source. Your fucking source is the dark web lunatics telling you shit. She's absolutely confused, and she's listening to the wrong people. She's not clinically insane. She's taking information that's half true, and she's conflating it. So she's not a terrible person. She's not clinically insane. I understand where you're coming from. Believe it. Believe it. I totally understand where you're coming from. But she's not a terrible person. I watched Candace Owens, and I subscribed to her before she was even popular. And I watched her, and I didn't even have to watch her for very long, and I was like, she's genuine. And then I saw the switch. Once Charlie Kirk left us, she changed. And she changed because she was being given disinformation. So that's the conclusion to that from my perspective. And I really implore everybody to look into the 90% of NGOs and then make the connection to BLM. 90% of NGOs that are working with humanitarian aid are pushing for an invasion into the Western world. These people are, the Israel-based NGOs. 10% to 20% are Christian conservative, and they do not get enough funding. That's what's really going on. The disinformation is coming from these dark web groups that they have a lot of receipts, but these receipts are conflated. So they're conflating these receipts with a narrative that's incorrect. I don't think she was scared that she was next. I don't think that, but I understand that perspective as well. I am fully convinced that BLM indirectly, basically, actually, in a way, directly, called the shot against Charlie Kirk. If I had known that they were teamed up with the NGOs that are pushing for an invasion into the Western world, I would have had a way different perspective. I would have never supported them in any way. I would have never said, hey, they have somewhat of a point. I would have never said any of these things because I didn't know that's the direction that they were taking it. Yeah, a lot of different places. You can see this information. If you go travel the dark web, you find these rabbit holes. That's the rabbit holes that she's going down, but she's being led down those rabbit holes by special interests. She says that she has receipts, she has sources, but she won't tell anybody what those sources are because they're from the dark web. They're criminals. My sources come from pure observation. Nobody's talking to me in my ear or anything. Nobody's, I'm a loner. Well, the alphabet, the thing, are you talking about the LGBT? BLM made it look like it was LGBT because of the question that was made. Somebody had said, oh, do LGBT have anything to do with these violent crimes, with these shootings, these mass shootings? And he said something to the effect of, yeah. And then that's when he was shot. So that's when the shot was taken. It was to make it look like it was an attack by the LGBT. He's not going to stand it. Why doesn't the husband step in and be like, wife, stop saying insane shit? He's not going to step in. He's a weak dude. He's one of the beta males. He's gonna bow down. He's gonna bow down to that chick, man. He's trying to get laid. Our women have been used against us. Our women have been used to destroy our own civilization. All right. Women are beautiful. Women are, you know, nurturing. They're supposed to be amazing. We worship them from a point of like, we want to get with them so bad. And then you got the weak males that want to get laid so bad, and they're like, okay, I bow down to you like a god, like a goddess. And then they just listen to them. So our women have been used against us because they're emotionally driven rather than logically driven. That's why you shouldn't have women in charge, unfortunately. There's a lot of great women out there that have a good perspective, but they are emotionally swayed and emotionally driven. So it's nothing against them. That's how they become good moms. That's how they create a family. That's how they nurture, because they are emotionally driven. They care, but they care too much, and therefore somebody can use that emotion against them. We've built our pillars out of glass. I love women. I want to, hug a woman. I did the other night. I gave a hug, to one of the random people that were across the street from one of my customers. And imagine that. She was a black African American. She's like, we had a great conversation. It was like 30 minutes we were talking. I love women. People love women, but women are not supposed to be in charge of things. And even if they have a great perspective, their emotions are still used against them and against the people that they care about. It's easy to sway people's emotions. A good example of this is stocks in crypto. You can see people trying to sway people's emotions just to sway the chart. You can see people like, oh no, this is gonna rug, and then like everybody starts selling, like panic selling. Well, yeah, I mean, bro, you don't care for them anymore, bro. I've been in real life single for about 16 years. I broke away. I turned down my instincts to be swayed by this attack. I've been single for 16 years of my life, since 21. And I'm totally happy with it. Like in real life. Online, I got a girlfriend, but she's states away. I can't even see her because I don't have a vehicle. It sucks. But I've been going out with her for about a year and a half now. It's been not this last February, but the year before February. So February of 2025. I don't know which day it was, but I basically just set it to, February. That's beautiful. You've been with one 14. That's amazing. That's very lucky to find a chick that's like, gonna stick around for that long, that has faith in you that for that long and that strongly. Um, but we should all just come to the conclusion of, I think it was the fact that we allowed women to make the decisions for us, and they made emotional decisions rather than logical decisions. And that's just how women are. And we love them for it because they're nurturing. It's not a hateful thing. It's just common sense stuff. Our women have been used against us. Oh, let's care about the invaders. Oh no, you know what I mean? Like they were like, hey, we need We need to take care of the refugees. These aren't refugees. These are invaders. They're deadbeat dads. They left behind children in their own country. They abandoned their country. That's why their country is a shithole. We gave money to these foreign countries so that they could strive and build their country back, but they didn't. They left their country. They're like, oh, free money? Oh, I'm going over here. Yeah, a bunch of deadbeat dads come over, and all the chicks are like, bro, we need to help them. Oh no, they came from a war-torn country. It's war-torn because they're abandoning their fucking country. We had like 40 million people come over the border. So our women's emotions have been used to destroy this country. And that's from that's an innocent perspective. Besides that, you're looking at BLM egregiously, maliciously destroying us. They want to turn white people into slaves. You want to know the real attack here? They're trying to make it so that white people will be their slaves. So I can tell when somebody's my enemy. Doesn't matter, white, black, Asian, or whatever. I can tell when somebody's my enemy, and I can see how they're talking to me. And what I've seen is when I find somebody who's like African American or Asian, or not Asian, but like South American, I can see it in their faces. They're like, "You're a white person. I want to see you slave under me." And so there's people that are like that, right? That's the end result goal that they're going for. That's why they're trying to divide white people from each other. And if they can control our women, then we can't procreate, and they just automatically win. The biggest threat to the African community is, well, at this point, BLM, but also abortions. Most of the abortions that occur are occurring to African American women. Their own people are being slaughtered before they even are conceived. They don't know how to forgive and support anymore. We only together because of children. Otherwise, she'd be gone. Yeah, maybe. That's what it seems like to me. It's like, these chicks are just hanging around because they kind of have to. But that's why they shouldn't be given so many freedoms, to be honest. It's because they're so willing to walk away and, accept many males up in that. Sucks. Ever since we gave women the right to vote, everything kind of just slowly went to shit. When I talk to people out on the street about this in front of women, they're like, bro, like I didn't want to say that because I didn't want to offend anyone. And I'm like, dude, at this point I've offended so many fucking people that I don't care. I'll offend anybody. I don't give a shit who you are. Dude, I've apparently offended people by saying nice things. I don't give a shit anymore. I'll fucking go out there in the street. I'll yell, but I am a Trump supporter. I fucking some chick after a chick's like, "Hey, is he a Trump supporter?" And I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" And I put thumbs up to her. I did that in the middle of a parking lot. I don't give a shit, man. And then I talked to the dude, and I'm like, yeah, putting women in charge was the problem. Yeah, that ain't two-faced. That's just like, hey, we love you women, but you shouldn't be in charge of what's going on because you're being emotionally fucked. You're being logically misled. You got Candace Owens thinking that Jewish people actually want to harm people. Like, they literally believe in no murder, no stealing. They want to be exclusive. As opposed to Christians, they want to be exclusive and be left alone. I hate being talked down to, especially about stuff I already hate myself for. Yeah, it's sad what women do to dudes. It's kind of crazy. I've been faithful and supportive, but get hatred in return. Yeah, it seems like women are doing that lately, and it's because they're being ideologically, mentally fucked. That's what's going on. I'll give you an example. So I brought to this house about 20 different plant, like 20 of the same type of plant. And this was like scrap left behind from a project at somebody else's house. And I'm like, dude, I can bring these over to my mom. She's going to be happy to see these plants, right? So I told her about it. And I also laid the plants out in different areas and put it across the yard. And instead of like, when I asked her, hey, would you like those put there? I gave her a couple of days to look at them. And I was like, hey, I put plants out there. I want you to see the placement. Let me know if you want them there. And then I asked her again, I was like, hey, do you want those planted where I have them? And she had an emotional breakdown. She started fucking yelling. I'm like, what are you yelling for? I asked you if you wanted plants planted in your yard. Like, they're emotional fucking crazy. They're crazy. They shouldn't be in charge of anything. If that's how you act at your job, you would lose it. Why are you treating your own family like that? It's insane. They've gone completely astray. They've gone completely bonkers. It seems like just all American women they need to get off the internet. American women need to be household pets at this point. It sucks. I don't want to see that. But it's like there's only one solution for this. Put the power back in the male's hands. At least if a male's going to be, if they're going to be mean, they're going to be honest about it. Like, I fucking hate you. Okay, well, that's perfect. At least you're honest. A chick's going to be like, I love you, and then fucking start screaming at you. Like, what? Oh shit, you've been affected by this deadly chemical shit. His mom apparently passed because of fentanyl. That's so sad. That's when it's time for China to get theirs. I'm all for it. Yeah. The fact that China allowed this to happen. Do you know why that's been happening, by the way? They've been laundering money out of their country by using United States dollars. That's why they work with the cartels. They're not allowed to pull out more than $50,000 from their economy per year without the government's permission. So they need permission to actually buy things from outside of the country from their government. And to bypass that, they use the United States dollar and they launder in the United States dollar. That's why they're doing trade with cartels. Yeah, and Mexico is definitely guilty. Oh, they're hardcore guilty. But you can find this information from Crossroads with Joshua Phillips or NTD News. I forget which channel talks about this, but that's where I found that information. They did a deep dive into it and they explained the whole thing. That's where I actually started my rabbit hole journey, by the way, was NTD News. So about 15 years ago, I decided I wanted to know about Japan. And because I was like, I want to go to Japan one day. That would be nice. I was attracted to Asian chicks. And so I wanted to learn more about Japan. And instead of finding stuff about Japan, I found stuff about China. And then I heard about forced organ harvesting of the Falun Gong. And that caught my eye. I was like, scandal? Okay, let me look at this. Why is China bad? Oh, China is bad. You know what I mean? I looked into all that. That's where I started my rabbit hole journey. So I went over to BitChute as well, because it actually redirected me over to BitChute to find more information. That's where I found out about the AI robots, the little teddy bears with fucking cameras in there, mixed using AI inside of children's bedrooms. That's where I found that information. It wasn't 15 years ago. It was about 12 years ago. It was just, it was over a decade ago that I actually started digging into these rabbit holes. And NTD News was sounding the alarm about forced organ harvesting. And it was confirmed by Valuetainment. So if you go to the Valuetainment channel, look up Valuetainment Facebook, or you'll see that their moderators, first of all, have way more access to your information than you think. Second of all, it actually lends credence to the exposure of forced organ harvesting originating in China. And the moderator group, they talked about, they remembered a moment where they had videos popping up on Facebook of forced organ harvesting, like of prisoners of conscience or people of conscience. So you've been affected by all this crap. Yeah. Down for action to be taken and the actions that are going to happen. What's sad is we're so deep in the shit right now that I don't think we're going to really truly fix everything. But if we do, it'll be a miracle and that'll be great. I don't think we can fix anything at this point. I think AI is going to have to fix it for us, unfortunately. And I expect everybody to disagree with this, that AI is the answer to our problems, but that's really the only thing that's actually going to do anything. It's got more power than us. The data centers, I don't like them, but that's what's happening. We're already down this road. The freight train's coming. It is what it is. Somebody asked me if I was a DFlock supporter. Flock cameras are legal. Giving permits for them to enter our infrastructure and to connect and link with our infrastructure is not. It's not fully like, we shouldn't be giving them permits to connect to our infrastructure. And if we are going to, then everybody should gain access to it like an open source technology. This is a question that I had on my channel 8 years ago. However old my channel is, I made a live video about this question. I asked people if they agreed with mass surveillance. They said nope. 9 people out of 10 said nope. And then those same people, I asked them, what if, in fact, you had access to that surveillance and not just a few specific groups? 4 out of 10 ended up disagreeing. So 6 out of 10 agreed that they should have access and they would be okay with mass surveillance as long as they have access to that surveillance as well. So I think that's kind of our answer. We're not going to escape mass surveillance. It's already there. They're already selling our data. They're already seeing everything that we're doing. It is what it is. And if it prevents kidnappers, it is what it is, man. I don't like the idea of having flock cameras everywhere, but we're not going to stop that. The Supreme Court can't stop that. What it takes, what can be stopped is giving permits to build and connect to our infrastructure. Like, there's nothing that you can do if somebody takes a camera and puts it into the woods where nobody sees it. There's nothing that you can do because it's in public. If nobody sees that camera, then, oh well, it's legal to do because it's in public. But if they put, if they connect it to the infrastructure, if they go and, rewire it to the telephone pole, that's where you have control. That's where the localities can prevent it from happening. So the flock cameras can, put a little sneak camera up there, and if somebody, knocks it out, then that's a civil dispute between the company and the person who removed it. If they connect it to the infrastructure, they connect it to the telephone pole and the FiOS cable that goes to it, and you go and attack it, then now technically you're attacking government infrastructure and it's illegal. So technically what they're doing is illegal, but only if they were not permitted to do it. If that makes sense. It is because the only thing that can keep up with millions of actions, people at the same time. Exactly. I wouldn't mistreat it for sure. I don't like it either, but conduct yourself like you should have in the first place, yes. When I got people swerving at me on the road, just because I own a bike, because I'm on a bike, it's like, dude, I want accountability for that. And my life is being threatened on the road. I've already been hit by a car twice. Yeah, you conduct yourself like you're on camera always in the living room. I conduct myself like I'm on camera, but I'm not perfect. So, I'm not 100% perfect. If I'm totally fucking honest, I'd piss off quite a few people. But fact of the matter is, there's nothing that we can do to prevent it. And all the truths will come out on the last day, the final judgment. So, I'm not perfect. Don't look at me as like an absolute hero. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to pass on truth. I want people to love each other and to coexist. Yeah, you'd prefer doing the right thing, and that's what just good people end up doing. They want to do the right thing. Sometimes they don't know what's right, and that's why we need people speaking and preaching what the actual truth is. Truth is, nobody's perfect, and bad examples prevent us from making those mistakes so that God will treat us right and save us. And I think that's deep down. Everybody wants to do something right, but the worst of us have been possessed. So when you see somebody doing something terrible, they've been possessed. I'll give you an example. So in Texas, rightfully so, somebody received a death sentence, and they had harmed a very young girl. It was a delivery driver, and they received the death sentence. That's a good thing. But on the stand, he said, he begged for forgiveness. He said, I found God now. That's what ends up happening. Once Satan is done with you, they throw you out. He throws you out like a bad rag, and now you only got God. So God was there in the beginning, and God's going to be there with you at the end. That should be really the goal at the end of the day, is to not harm people. Your intention should be to make people feel at peace, because the real goal is peace. If we find peace, truth brings us to peace. What did I say before? So God is truth, and truth is love, because it's truth. It's really all about love at the end of the day. We all want to love. We all want to hug. If we find our soulmate one day, it's a miracle. But nobody's perfect. Don't expect people to be perfect. For those, there's critics out there that they're like, oh, well, Trump did this, Trump did that. Trump's not perfect. And I make jokes like this. It's not even a joke either. Like, Trump ain't Jesus, but he loves you as if he was Jesus. He loves everyone like he was Jesus. Stephen Kelly Bailey says, no, my goal should be to not harm people. It should be fulfilling your will while you're alive. What's your will? If your will is not to find peace, then your will is basically do unto others as you wish to be done unto you, because the consequence will be discomfort at the end of the day. So if you're not trying to find peace, you're not trying to find truth, then you end up getting that result at the end of the day. And it's Satan lying to you to make you think that conquering and destroying things and getting in the way is something that you want. Satan is tricking you into doing that. Your goal should not be to destroy. Your goal should not be to harm, to get in people's way. Your goal should be to coexist, to do trade with each other. If you see somebody being harmed, get in the way of that. But you can't really fully fix it. So what does this say? If you see harm in the world, it's like you can't truly fix it, but you can protect yourself and protect your loved ones from it. So use those as examples to make those around you that you care about stronger and more aware. That's all you can really truly do. God takes them out at the end of the day. I'm not saying we shouldn't have laws, but at the end of the day, God does take over. So, we still got to put, child rapists and, thieves and stuff in jail. So, I mean, you still have to do something, Actually, I think child rapists should all get eliminated, but you know what I mean. There's a lot of subjective dependencies, but I disagree about coexistence. Well, like I said, you're going to have a bad example here and there and everywhere, and those bad examples are basically just an example to stay away from. You're like, oh, that's not what I want to do. I'm going to do things this way. So if you have a gathering, the demons will collaborate together. Yeah, they'll come in like a group of trolls, and they'll try to trick you into seeing half truths, and it's called Luciferianism. They have some truths to offer, but they're going to twist it and gaslight. Now, that's my point, is that it's all in the Bible. It says if one commits a reprehensible crime, thou shalt not be allowed within the tabernacle of the congregation. That's what it says a billion times in the Bible. That's how you solve it. You shoo them out into the woods. That's how it's dealt with in the Bible. You can't solve it. That's why it says also, I forget exactly how it's stated, but it's like somebody sends people to Tartarus. So you'll be sent to Tartarus, which is, you get into the Tartarian conspiracy. Well, it's said in the Bible, Tartarus. Imagine that. Tartaria or Tartarian is literally in the Bible. So it's been described. And in my opinion, Tartary or Tartaria was basically just the Badlands. You send somebody off into the Badlands. So it was known as a nation, but it wasn't really technically a nation. It was just the Badlands. Yeah. Well, you know, the word Tartar is literally just something like it's like tartar on your teeth or something. It's like crud, basically. But it's said in the Bible that's how it works. They are not allowed in the tabernacle of the congregation. You can't solve all problems, but you can definitely shun them into the woods until they've made amends with God. Unless they've actually gained forgiveness from God. Anyways, I think I'm going to go in. I'm going to end the live, but this has been a beautiful conversation. It's been a beautiful engagement. I love the engagement. I appreciate more conversation around these subjects, and I will continue when I do go live. I'll continue talking about this stuff because this is really what needs to be talked about. We need to understand that religion, it's all about education. We need to all learn what the Bible is actually trying to tell us. The Bible is a cause and effect manual. No one's perfect, but we still need to know what the truth is. And don't take it upon yourself to go crusade against everything. The time you crusade is when you're trying to take back your nephew got stolen, kidnapped. You got to go crusade. That's why the crusades happened. It's because we had a bunch of our people in the West kidnapped by the Persians, by the, Middle East. And we went over and we conquered because we didn't even conquer. We left them behind. After we left, we were like, okay, we're done. We got our people back. That's what happened. That's why we crusaded. But as far as I understand it, I hope everybody has a great day. And God bless you guys as well. And I hope that, I didn't offend anybody. And I hope that it brings people together to coexist. Now, nobody's perfect. Offer forgiveness. Forgive yourselves. Forgive others. And build. And if you're a millionaire, look around at your local communities and start to build a business with them. Build a structure. Build something that beats China, that beats the invasion. I love you guys, and God loves you as well. I'm sure that he does. God ain't me. I ain't God, man. But I'm going to tell you this. I guarantee that God loves all you. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you. And check me out on Pump Fun if you want to go support the project. If you do ever throw any money towards the coins, don't put more than $1 or just ape like a 0.01 SOL. Don't do more than that because we don't know what these MEV bots are up to. I will be going live there as well regularly, so you'll catch me there too. That's what I do. Sometimes I'll have it on and I'll be sleeping. So who knows? Later, guys.